Don in London. Hello. August the 8th. My videos all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour could be equally addictive towards people, places and things. Being in the right place with the right people, doing the right things, having the right things. Sounds like I was striving for a perfect life. But life wasn't perfect by any means. So many trips and tumbles along the way. And I guess during those years of drinking I was quite successful, which meant that I could keep on drinking whatever amount I felt was appropriate. So from going from taking the edge off and enjoying some relaxation, conviviality and company, to an isolated 24/7 drinker in the end. And it took a long time to get there. And I guess when drink really took over was when I was completely disappointed at my ability to cope with reality. I lost the plot completely, and then drinking came along as a way out, and then isolation, and then near death more than once, and that feeling of never wanting to wake up again. So these days it is one day at a time. I live in recovery, sober. I put sober first so the rest of life can work. And if I put sober first, I find out what my feelings are, what my thinking is, how I'm going to behave today, and how when I encounter good times during the day I respond with happiness, and when sad or bad times happen I can respond equally with appropriate feelings. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and do unpleasant things to people who do unpleasant things to me. It's all about finding balance and how to live life in an appropriate way for each and every one of us. We find our own path, we learn our own lessons, but we're a lot better off if we have some wisdom coming from somewhere. And at the beginning I asked for help from family, friends, community, medical people, who in the end got me sober enough to find out there was a fellowship out there to help me, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. So what is it? Well, first of all, I can't speak for AA, never can, never will, but I can share about how it works in my life and what happens to me, or what has happened to me. I share experience, strength and hope of life, what's going on, and how the AA fellowship has 12 steps or 12 principles of living, and those principles are fairly easy to understand, but putting them into practice on a daily basis can be quite difficult, and we have to learn how, and it's progress never perfect. So we start falteringly, making mistakes, feeling the heat and pain of frustration, and often having to deal with shame and guilt about having to relearn life. Well, these days humility helps me. Humility says it's okay to keep on learning, it's okay not to know, and it's okay not to know how to get sober and then find out. So I go to AA fellowship meetings all around me where I live in London. There's about 700 I guess in London, so there's plenty of choice for me, but there are some places where there are no choices and we can't get there. So it's not many years, quite a few years ago, I was asked if I could put together 1 or 2 videos about what I encountered going to AA and what it meant to me, and this is how they evolved. So I share the AA preamble here, and then something of the daily reflections and some observations I've made about what's going on for me. So I have a little card here which has the AA preamble on it, and inside it has the 12 steps and 12 traditions. 12 steps or principles for an individual to live well, with freedom of choice in any day, without manipulating or controlling anything. And the 12 traditions, which are all about unity, service and recovery, and keeping fellowship safe. Safe place, anonymity, sacrosanct on a daily basis for those who need it and wish it so. But for me, the cat was out of the bag. As soon as I got to a room of AA, people knew me there. They were my neighbours, people from the gym, people who I knew in the community, and people I knew from work too, ironically. What an irony. Anyway, that's some years back. So what is AA? This is the AA preamble, which I share every day because it tells me what fellowship does for me and what it can do for you. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So there we are, common problem, and share about it and help people recover. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. So that is the only requirement, a desire not to stop. You don't even have to call yourself an alcoholic if you don't wish to, that's your choice. And there are no rules, laws or regulations in AA because we worked it out, or those who created it worked out that have rules, laws and regulations, and there will be no fellowship because we're all some of us, or mainly all of us, have a rebellious streak in us which will take us back to drink if anyone or anything imposes rules, laws or regulations upon us. We have enough in society to cope with being civil to each other. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to does not wish to engage in any controversy. I'm starting to recite it there. Bad sign. I need to read it out. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Which means that the fellowship is there for sobriety, but we are all there because we have loads of things going on in our lives. We have faith, belief, politics, affiliations, families. We're all in those things which shape us. But we don't try and impose our views of how we live our lives on other people. We do share about sobriety, but we do share about what's going on in our lives. So we do hear about other people's affiliations to whatever it is. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So, in essence, a fellowship all about sobriety. And sobriety comes in so many ways. Excuse me, but I feel a bit dry around the mouth. AA is there for sobriety, a desire to be sober. And sobriety involves giving up the drink, may also involve giving up hard drugs and soft drugs, things which we have become dependent on and we can be addicted to. So in the very pure essence of AA, some believe that it's just about alcohol, but alcohol actually is the symptom of something deeper, which is dependency on doing certain things to try and get by and cope with life. So sharing over the last couple of days, one or two have felt got at. This is in the meetings of AA, where many people just want to hear about recovery to do with alcohol and not hear about recovery to do with other addictions as well. But the point is, if alcohol is just the tip of the iceberg, then anything and everything else can be in there too. So when we criticise others for sharing about their story, which includes other matters, it's not right in my view. People are what they are. We can have those judgments if we feel like they are appropriate to have, but to shut somebody down, especially when they're new and still trying to find their feet and still trying to get over the malady of compulsive behaviour and self-harm, we don't need to harm them by trying to instill AA is just for alcohol. It's not. It never was. All the other maladies are in us. So if we're not addicted to alcohol, we're probably likely to be addicted to something else which may be harmful to us. So I listen with care and don't criticise one bit if anybody brings up drugs, drink, besides drink. Anyway, that's me on my soapbox for today. But for me it's important. You know, anything that's undermining our well-being, we need address. And there are other fellowships, obviously, for other conditions which are primary. So if somebody has narcotics as a primary addiction, they probably go to NA, Narcotics Anonymous. If it's debt, spending, gambling, they're all anonymous fellowships for those too. But alcohol is probably rooted in there somewhere. So it's the big broad church of AA. It encompasses everything to do with sobriety, however it shows up, and it is for other people and for ourselves. So there's no point in shutting other people out because we think it ought to be AA. And if anybody says to you, you're not a proper alcoholic, or you're not an alcoholic, don't be discouraged. You may be only there for a desire to stop drinking today. And nobody should be judging anybody else. And I've done a bit of judgment here about people who are judging others. So what do I do about that? Well, I let it go, because I can't do anything about their opinion. But I would urge anybody who is feeling the opinions of others to work out what is the best route forward for yourself, which is not to give up trying to be sober, but deal with, there will be prejudice from every source, inside and outside fellowships, because we're just made that way, aren't we? So that's just me. And so the AA Daily Reflection for today, which comes from, I was looking at it a moment ago and I don't know where I put it. I see it's Monday morning, you see. Monday morning, not quite with it. It's because I went to a meeting last night and it went on a bit afterwards. In a good way. I'll share about that if I may not. We'll see. The AA Daily Reflections book has 365 readings, one a day, and they're all about the steps and traditions of AA. And in August it's all about step 8, making a list of people we need to make amends to, making a list of amends and being willing to make them. Made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends. What's up with me this morning? Anyway, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. I'm human, and I'm not going to start this video again just because I'm fluffing my lines. I don't have any lines. I just share as I see it on any day. So to do something about the rough bits, I haven't got time, and it doesn't matter. Progress not perfection these days. So AA Daily Reflections for today, all about step 8, being willing to make the amends and making the list. So step 8, made a list. August the 8th, made a list of all persons we had harmed. When I approached the 8th step, I wondered how I could list all the things that I have done to other people, since there were so many people and some of them weren't alive anymore. Some of the hurts I inflicted weren't bad, but they really bothered me. The main thing to see in this step was to become willing to do whatever I had to do to make these amends to the best of my ability at that particular time. Where there is a will, there is a way. So if I want to feel better, I need to unload the guilt feeling I have. A peaceful mind has no room for feeling of guilt. With the help of my higher power, if I am honest with myself, I can cleanse my mind of those feelings, or these feelings. And you know, when I'm reading that, I'm thinking about relationships in my very early living as a late teenager and into my early 20s, about relationships I had and how superficial they were, and a lot of indifference there. And some of my partners have died young, and I can remember them vividly. And I did see them before they died, and for the best part of those seeing, if you like, or being a part of, they were just before I came into recovery, or just as I came into recovery. Women die young, so do men, from all sorts of tragedies, and the women in my life, one or two have had some, well, they're dead, and I was able to make amends in a very difficult sort of situation. So it's taken me aback a bit. Sometimes memories jump in. It was all right. in the end. I think it's because last night there was a lot of grief about, and I was trying to be supportive, and to an extent I was, because I have experience of all these things, first-hand experience, which I wouldn't wish on anybody, but they will come. So it does take us aback when we just, doing a daily reading sometimes can jolt us, and that one just did. So to me, before I was reading that, some of my words from this morning, to myself maybe, and also on Facebook or other places. A lovely meeting last night had great impact on me. I love people and trying to help by sharing. We never know our impact on others or where they are just now in their lives. If drink and drugs are part of another story, I never criticise anyone sharing about other addictions, because it could have been me. Life is precious and precarious, one day at a time, and that's how it is. And if you've lived a fairly long time, I mean I've lived a fairly long time, but a lot of it was under the influence of not knowing my feelings, because I shut them out, or pushed them away, or pushed them down. And today I don't. So when we get hit by something from the past, we recognise it, we know and understand. And the amends can come in many ways. Even if people are dead, there are ways to do it, but I won't go into that here. And this morning, again, step 8, listing amends and being willing. I did not realise my part in all matters until I really understood simply being in the wrong place, wrong time, and not willing to let go. Justifiable outrage from the past is now over. And there will be times in the past where we have been unjustly treated, because the facts that we knew were different from the facts that other people chose to understand. And when I say that, it can be from a very simple slight to a great misunderstanding about behaviour and where it was coming from. So we all have these ghosts around us, and when we look back we can understand how it all happened, but there's no point in holding on to the grief of the years. We've got enough to grieve about in the present day, about life as it is, life on life's terms. Today I can be firm, state my case if needs be. At the same time, I need not take inventory of others. I have steps to take to keep to my side of the street, and not dig potholes in yours. It's very easy to dig potholes in other people's lives, or, criticise, judge. Part of the acceptance passage in the big book is all about criticise not one bit. Well, no, that's actually in the Just for Today. You see, I am a bit discombobulated, and I have to check something else, one of my other chronic conditions to do with blood sugars. I have type 1 diabetes from a virus. Things happen in sobriety. The good news, you're still alive to get them. And I have steps to keep my side of the street, to keep to my side of the street, and not dig potholes in yours. It can be so easy to do that. The 12 steps are about us, our own behaviour, and not the behaviour of other people. But the problem is the 12 steps, principles of living, give us a great insight into how other people are behaving. And if we start judging them, we break it all down into judgmental behaviour again, back to the old ways. So the new ways are freedom of choice in the moment of now, based on real life, and that feels pretty spiritual to me, the ability to cope with living in the moment of now. August the 8th from another year. Step 8. Making a list of people we have harmed and being willing to make amends. Alcoholism, self-harm, and no way to stop on our own. We could not stop, and no one could stop us. Our amends to self is recovery. Our willingness to make amends starts with a list. Step 9, the amends comes later, and then a list each day of what has disturbed us, using step 10, a daily practice of dealing with our unhelpful behaviour with other people. As soon as we are disturbed, we know something's not quite right, and we need to pause. How am I feeling? Why? What may I do? What are my freedoms in this moment? Freedom to fight, or freedom to work it out? And then from another year, experience and wisdom. Just for today, every day, we start afresh. How we are feeling and why. A morning meditation. Step 1 for me, acceptance that life can be unmanageable if I drink or try and control anything to do with people, places and things. I say that at the same time, freedom to choose. Step 2, came to believe a higher power could restore me to sanity. If I take back and try and run the whole show, it's insane, because why should people do it my way? And doing the same thing over and over again, and no different result, which is disappointment, anger and resentment. No thank you, I'd rather stay to sanity, keep on changing and responding to life. Step 3, letting go and letting in the words of wisdom. Let go and let God. If the wisdom comes from others, and if God works through others, then I'm with it all the way. So I'm happy that God is truth, love and wisdom, but I can't define God, way beyond me. And then, having let the words of wisdom in, live life. At day's end, step 10, and gratitude. I know more of who I am just for today. So I don't know who I am on a daily basis, I just know a little bit more. And if I try and make it a little more complicated, that by the end, this is where I have a great difficulty with people who are prescriptive with life. It's like the economies of the world would not have liked to have been in this particular situation. But the problem is there are too many players in the business markets trying to make money. And of course they only make money if we're investing, and we're not investing because we haven't got any money. So those middlemen are pinched very badly, and their way of dealing with it is put up the interest rates on government's debts, and in so doing making us, the taxpayer, pay the burden all over again. It's about time people learned that when there are too many people in the market creaming off all the time, it's actually impacting on the livelihood and the future pensions of the world. Anyway, that's just my rant for today. I know what goes on. As soon as you make a long-term pension fund into a managed fund by a PLC, shareholders cream off, and then everybody has to put more money in. Simple as that. Well, it's not that simple, but it is that simple. Too many people in the market creaming off us yearly, and sometimes you see it's only 1% for a year's management services. Compound that over 50 years, and it's outrageous. I shouldn't say things like that. It's nothing to do with sobriety, is it? Well, it has a lot to do with sobriety, because I can't do anything about it, but I can say clearly there are too many players in the market creaming off too much, and then complaining that they're not getting enough, and then putting up the interest rates, when in fact it's manufacturing and industry where investment needs to be, not in the back pocket of a banker who is making a loss because they're greedy. Not their fault, that's the way the system was set up. So Joe Public pays always. I think that's one of the reasons why I drank, seeing it for real in real companies working that way. So I need to let that go, because I'm not in those companies anymore and I cannot do anything about it right now. Enough time on this. So what do I do when I get agitated? I remember the Serenity prayer to God, or in good conscience, as you come to believe for yourself. What works for me is knowing I'm not the higher power, knowing I don't have all the answers, knowing it takes mutuality and agreement to understand how life is today. Interesting. The Serenity prayer to keep me on balance when I'm off track is, what can I do and what can I not do? Can do, can't do. I can change my attitude and behaviour, have freedom of choice. I cannot change people, places and things directly and keep it that way. I become a prisoner of imprisoning them, and that's no good. So can do, can't do. To God, or in good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference comes to me in the moment and just for today.